Hello, everybody. It's a complete bloodbath out there today, but that's not going to stop us from planning for the future. But everything's getting murdered today. SaaS software, Bitcoin, you name it. Tesla, after the most amazing earnings call yesterday, at least I thought it was. Anyway, let's move into the story. This one's called The Automagical Future. Shout out to Moonshots, too. I got that from Mr. Diamantis. And we're going to talk about all the crazy stuff that's happening in the world of AI and the future. So you are prepared. Okay. Not financial advice as usual. Big thank you to the moderators in the chat. And a big thank you as well to everybody on Patreon. This is from Z. Been part of Patreon since Feb 2021. By the way, that's exactly when it began. I've learned so much and have greatly increased mine and my wife's retirement accounts. Awesome. What 5 years it has been. Actually, it's nearly 5 years. It'll be 5 years in 3 days. Patreon for 5 years. Over 10,200 posts as well. Crazy. Anyway, this is Thursday, so it's AI Impact. Tomorrow, Friday Fire, we cover crypto and everything else that's going on. But first, we're going to talk about robotaxis, robotrucks, bots, because a lot of stuff is happening. First of all, shout out to our friends up there in Canada. Waabi. I never heard of Waabi before, but anyway, they just locked down $1 billion in a fundraise. I think it was $750 million Series C and $250 million from Uber to deploy 25,000 robotaxis while conquering autonomous trucking with a single AI brain. Interesting. This is formerly the head of Uber's AV research lab, who is now doing this. This is also the biggest fundraise ever in Canada, if I didn't say that already. And again, they plan robo-trucking in 2027. Easier said than done. I don't even know if they make their own trucks or if they get them from Volvo here. Maybe it's a partnership with Volvo. A lot of players. We're going to see very quickly the importance of vertical integration. That means you build the AI, you build the truck, you build the silicon, you build the batteries, you build everything. The software, the neural net, have the Colossus data center to run it all. This is where these other companies will fall behind. Anyway, it's great to see because the more players that come into the space, the easier it is to get regulatory approval. So shout out to Waabi. Hope they make it. And of course, Semi from Tesla is going to production scale and they have killer FSD built into the trucks already. Anywho, Cybercab production, one of the things we learned yesterday is we expect to make far more Cybercabs than all of our other vehicles combined. That's from Elon Musk yesterday. These things are going to litter the earth. And we were surprised. I only thought there were 240 robotaxis in operation between Austin and the Bay Area, California. There's actually more than that. It's more than double. It's 500 per the call yesterday. So the tracker isn't tracking all the vehicles. And that explains why I've seen some which weren't in the tracker and they were also very far afield up in Sonoma, which is interesting. Also, Tesla, a lot of people are very sad about this. They believe it's a betrayal. But you got to think bigger picture. The big shift is Tesla will kill their luxury lineup of cars, with the exception of Cybertruck, i.e. the Model S, the very first car they ever made after the Sportster, and the Model X. Model X is a brilliant car. I have one. It's now a collector's piece. I plan to keep it. But next quarter, they're going to need the space. They're going to need the space to build 1 million Optimus 3 robots. Now, shout out to CERN Basher. People are worried about the math. Oh, they should be making cars. Cars are more valuable. Well, as an investor, you care about return on investment. And as usual, CERN did it very eloquently. He said, do the math. 1 million Optimus at $100,000 per year equals annual revenues of $100 billion or $50 billion if Optimus generates just 50,000 a year. It'll definitely do the work of 60 to 100,000, I reckon. Tesla only sells 50,000 S and X cars at a ticker of about 100K a pop. It's only 5 billion. So you can see here, the Optimus will generate 20x the revenue. And from a margin perspective, 50x that. So it makes complete and utter dominant financial sense to stop making cars, focus on cybercabs and robots. In fact, if you have your hands on a legacy Tesla car, keep it. it'll be valuable one day. I've seen what happens to secondhand car values over time. Also, other great news, XAI did invest Tesla invested in XAI, but XAI is also investing $1 billion a month as reported in the Optimus Brain. This is super interesting. Somebody basically reverse engineered their financials to find out exactly what the burn is. And I think a recent call, the chief revenue officer, John Shulkin, leaked how much he's spending and also how much they're focused on building the Optimus Brain because it's 100x more complex than autonomy. Yeah, by the way, actually, I just want to sort of touch on that for a second. All these companies building these parlor trick, whatever they call it, robots. As Elon said, doing FSD for a car, making a car drive itself is incredibly difficult. But he said building a brain for a robot is 100x more difficult. So when you see all those other party tricks out there, yeah, it's not trivial. Anyway, these guys will pull it off. They're also investing hard into MacroHard, which is what's going to interrupt the SaaS software business out there. We'll talk more about that in a minute too. But the big news, which I personally was very excited about, being a big Tesla shareholder, not having any XAI, guess what? Now they put $2 billion into it, so it gives them 1%. So if you hold Tesla shares, you now have XAI. But there's more crazy stuff coming as well, which will blow your minds. First, we're going to talk about the Mag 7, as we always do. Capex, Microsoft, Capex, Spooks, Wall Street exec indexes see red across the board. It was a bloodbath today everywhere. There's tons of stuff down 17%, 6%, 5%, 3%, 4%. It was just a nasty day. But these happen, and we did expect for a long time for Q1 to be nasty. Been waiting since summer 2025 for this. Anyway, we're here, but I don't think we're out of the woods yet. I think there's more bumpiness to come. But Microsoft took it in the shorts today. Microsoft is now back at June 2024 levels because of fear about Capex spend. This is where it gets tricky, though, because there's a couple of things I do want to mention here, pulling up some past. This was also from summer 2025, where Elon Musk predicted that OpenAI is going to eat Microsoft alive. Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, was very proud of Microsoft and GPT-5 is going to change the world. Since then, Microsoft has started partnering with other AIs too. Google, Anthropic, if I'm not mistaken. XAI is running across Azure, etc. But getting back to Capex, this is the piece I want to drill into, is looking at numbers. It's a numbers channel after all. But here, these are some of the predicted Capex spends so far, and I'll build on this over time. But if you look at the data point of Microsoft spending $37.5 billion a quarter, so you annualize that, you get a truckload of cash, $150 billion. That's what spooked Wall Street. Okay? A lot of it is their cloud demand from OpenAI, part of that OpenAI dependency, where Elon Musk said OpenAI is going to eat Microsoft alive. You're beginning to see that now. Also, what's interesting though, Meta said we're going to spend $135 billion on CapEx. That's nearly the same as $150 billion. In fact, the market cap of Microsoft is bigger. So in relative terms, it's kind of equivalent. TSMC, $54 billion. And Tesla, $20 billion. I mean, Tesla's spending less than a seventh of what Microsoft's planning to spend, but they already have a superior AI over OpenAI. Something's wrong here. Something's really wrong. Now, what's also really wrong, show you how messed up markets can be. Meta say they're going to spend probably more on a market cap basis in CapEx, but Meta goes up 10% today, whereas Microsoft falls 12%. Meta's still off the all-time high, but big move today. And I just want to shout out as well, Meta planning $135 billion in CapEx on AI after spending $76 billion on a thing called the metaverse, which is like comics or cartoons or something. They killed that. Flushed $76 billion down the toilet. Will they be flushing $135 billion down the toilet in 3 or 4 years? The answer is probably, because winner takes most. And the AI is only as good as the team you can attract and how much coherent compute you can build. etc., etc., etc. Winners take most. There's not enough room for 10 winners or 5 winners in AI. It'll be maybe 2, maybe 3 for lucky. Now, getting back to what the future will look like, Elon Musk did say at the WF, because in case you missed it a few days ago, he said he drew a future where humanoids outnumber humans, not only in factories, but also everywhere, to saturate all human needs by the end of the decade. His ambitions are extremely high. End of the decade is like 5 years away, less. And he expects Tesla to begin selling the Optimus humanoids in the public by end of 2027, but have them doing industrial work this year. This year. And we should see the Optimus 3 within a couple of months. And apparently it has a skin, so it actually looks very human-like, which is going to be really creepy, by the way. I prefer when they look like machines, personally, but we'll see what comes. And I did a video about 10 days ago on the first $100 trillion company. Cathie Woods was on Moonshots this morning. Guess what she said? Very interesting. She said, ta-da, her money is on Tesla being the first $100 trillion company because their valuation will be driven by the convergence of various technologies, AI, energy storage, robotics, and the massive growth in the robotaxi market. So anyway, shout out to Cathie Wood. There's it, 100 trillion. That's what her money's on. It's a shame she has to sell some Tesla every time it exceeds 10% of her portfolio. Anyhow, let's talk about AI and LLMs, as we always do. Back to OpenAI here. If anybody has 100 billion, 30 billion lying around, Sam Altman needs it. And they need a big funding round. And they're currently at a $730 billion pre-money valuation. By the way, looking at relative valuations, OpenAI, $730 billion. It's already fallen behind XAI. It doesn't even have an asset of real-time global data like X. Think about that. But the story or the plot thickens, which is even crazier. Where are they going to get the money? It's interesting. They're trying to pull a bunch from, I think the guy, what's it called? The Japanese investor. I forget the name. Anyway, and NVIDIA could drop another $30 billion in. By the way, Jensen, if you're listening, do not waste $30 billion. Just give it to charity. Do something good with the money. Don't waste it on OpenAI. It's not going to generate any return. Amazon, $20 billion. Another question mark. And Microsoft only $10 billion. Oh, well, speaking of Jensen, he's here. He wishes he had invested more in XAI. Remember that? Well, there's an even more bizarre story entering the fray in a second. And XAI, by the way, is now outranking Wikipedia. No, XAI's Grokipedia is now outranking Wikipedia on Google search. Woohoo. And now it's the place where you get, again, truth, real data, real information, not a biased point of view from some group. Now, back to software. This is kind of a little bit of an upsetting story for me, and shout out to Holger. But he said AI is shaking up the software sector, and software stocks got hammered today. Share of SAP out of Germany fell 17%. Microsoft, Workday, ServiceNow all plunged more than 10%. Absolutely brutal day. You got MongoDB, Pegasystems, ServiceNow, HubSpot, Atlassian. Really, really wicked day. And why I'm mad is I was looking at shorting SAP last week, but I didn't have the courage. Didn't pull through. That was a mistake. So bad me. I won't make that mistake again. Now back to space, which ties in all the other stuff we just spoke about earlier. There is rumors today from Reuters. Listen to this, that Elon Musk considers merging SpaceX and XAI. That'd be SpaceX, X, Starlink, Grok, Macrohard, the Optimus Brain, everything under one roof. Remember, global comms are going to be critical for the future, and that's exactly what SpaceX has. And there was a $1.5 trillion SpaceX IPO that was planned. Now call that a $1.8 trillion monster. If it happens, the scheduled time frame for the IPO for SpaceX was mid-June of this year. I'm not sure if they can merge with X and XAI in that time frame, but either way, it would be interesting. And the reasons for it also interesting, but we're not going to go into here. a little bit on longevity and drug discovery, because there's new breakthroughs every single week that are important to us. As I always say, health is wealth. Without health, there's no point in even investing. Nothing matters. Nothing matters at all. Health is number one. But this came out from FDA. They approved some oncology cancer drugs, and they approved clearance for, I'm going to really mess up these names, Daratumumab and Bortezomib, which are very good for multiple myeloma, blood disorders, anemia, if there's a stem cell transplant complication, etc. These things fix that. And they're all part of this burgeoning new era of AI drug discovery and AI drug approval, which is very important too. A little bit of quantum news too. Everybody was talking, I remember last year's, quantum stocks, like nuclear stocks. Don't touch them. They're too far out there. Don't mess with this stuff. But today, just like the SAAS stocks, a lot of quantum stocks got hammered too. IonQ, Rigetti, some of the other big quantum computing names all got completely hammered. And many of them have been calling them short targets for a long time as well, for obvious reasons. Now, getting into what I call the Orwellian corner, which stuff we need to know, because AI is a double-edged sword. First of all, this came out, and that is, if you are a theoretical physicist, a little bit of bad news for you. Science is being compressed. Shout out to Alex as well. But the Anthropic co-founder, Jared Kaplan, predicts a 50% chance that all theoretical physicists will be replaced by AI within 2 or 3 years. Let me know if you are a theoretical physicist in the audience. Odds are there's none watching this show because they're more interested in physics than money, but that may change in the next 2 or 3 years. Anywho, more from the Orwellian corner. Again, another Anthropic fellow, Dario, who knows what's up. He talked about what he refers to as maybe what people aren't thinking about, risks or constraints that people aren't looking at, or what I call the risk nobody's pricing in. And he framed it up as AI can create a country of geniuses in one data center. It could be 50 million entities smarter than any Nobel laureate, operating 10 to 100 times faster than a human. So again, 50 million of them in one data center, operating 100 times faster. And this is the problem. He said, if that data center is controlled by the CCP, game over. He also said, if it's controlled by a small group of tech executives with no accountability, also game over. These are some of the risks of AI. It's very, very important who controls it and that they have good intentions, or else we're all stuffed. Anywho, finishing after that whirlwind tour of the planet and all the quick themes for AI impact, this was a great one as well. I saw it yesterday or the day before. How AI happens fast, as I call it. But let me try to walk you through it. It talks about ants, birds, chimps, silly humans, and Albert Einstein. And one of the things you pick up on is how close the lines are between the silly human and Albert Einstein. And the gap is tiny. But if you see it close up, it looks like an ocean. But the problem is, to AI, that's a tiny, tiny speed bump that takes weeks or maybe a month or two to overcome. And this is the acceleration that people don't get with AI. It's all about the recursive improvement, which is another way of saying, as AI gets smarter, it uses itself to build better AI. It starts designing its own code, writing its own chips, who knows, and it creates a feedback loop. This is what humans cannot do. And the scaling, according to Moore's law, the computing power available to train these models has historically doubled every 2 years. Now we're moving into a phenomenon where it's going to double every 7 to 9 months. And data abundance, AI eats information. The more human knowledge that's digitized by AI, AI has a larger brain to learn from. This is what people don't realize. Phase A is like, oh, Siri doesn't understand what the weather is doing today. Phase B is ChatGPT in 2022 could write you an email. And phase C is beyond a peer that can solve everything, complex physics, biology, coding, you name it. cure diseases. This is where we are going into over the next 12 to 18 months. I want that to be very clear. Buckle in, get ready. Don't think about the short-term noise of the weak market today. Think big picture, own a piece of this magical future. That's the story today. I hope you all learned something. I did, and I'm obsessed with this stuff because that's where we're going, and it's very important to know where we're going. Big shout out to Martello, B-Man, Teen D Tesla, Sean D, Frederick, and everybody else there as well. Yeah, quick question, actually. Uranium. I think a lot about nuclear. I've been thinking about nuclear for a long time. I looked at uranium for a long time. Solar is the easy solution. Nuclear is a fool's errand. We do need nuclear power until we can build solar at scale like the Chinese. Chinese are building both. But solar is a lot cleaner, a lot easier, a lot safer, a lot cheaper if you can pull it off. So I stick with what will work, and also investing in things like nuclear right now. It's 5 years out. None of us may even be here in 5 years. So think about that. Anyway, thank you all for coming. Bye-bye.